Welcome to the Divine Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Christina Aroche, and together we are walking the path of discovering your true self and the alignment with your soul. Through these conversations, you will experience a deeper level of connection with yourself and the universe, and most importantly, you will trust in your spiritual journey ahead. Let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Divine Connection Podcast. I am super excited today because not only are we answering another audience question, but I have a special guest who is joining me, and her name is Jacqueline Hopper. You may or may not know her. Hopefully you do, because she has been on the show before. And this is her second guest appearance, which is so special, so amazing. I'm so excited. So welcome, Jackie. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. And I must have done something right to be invited back. So like that, I'm going to just write that in my appreciation journal later tonight because I'm really excited to be here and to be welcomed back and to be with you, of course, as always, but also to be with your audience because I love sharing space with as many people as possible. So I'm so stoked. Thank you for the warm introduction. And yes, this is my second time. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jacqueline Hopper, and I'm a self-mastery guide. And I support people with very much deepening their connection to their inner being, to that of source, to their gifts, to their abilities, and all of the incredible ways that they can really own their personal power and show up and thrive in this physical experience. Yeah, and I'm excited that we get to answer audience questions like,
I know, right? Yes,
I love this.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of a new-ish thing that I've been doing on the podcast, and it's been so much fun, and people are loving it. I love that. Now they're going to love it even more because you're on here and helping to answer a question. So
I'm so excited. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, let's get into the question. So today's question is coming from Patricia, and she says, can you please ask the angels for their advice on what spiritual level of awakening should a person be at after a year of gaining knowledge about the divine? So I love this question. This is, I feel like there's so much to get into with this, right?
Oh my gosh, like Patricia. Like she just put us on the spot. I feel put on the spot. Like this is an official question. Wow.
It is.
Okay.
It really is.
There is so much to say. I have so much to say.
Oh my gosh. I know. I'm like, where do we even begin? Well, okay. So I guess the first thing that I want to say is, I mean, first and foremost, I feel like it is so normal for us to think in the space of like levels or like what level should I be at? I mean, we all have grown up with that perception of that conditioning, right? Like we go to school, you're in grade, go through the grades of school, then you're at a job and you have different levels within your job. So we're so used to thinking in that way of like levels. And then once you achieve this, you move up to this level and whatever, right? Like that's just how our human brain operates. But I feel like at the core of this question or at the core of the answer here, it's shifting our perspective or shifting how we view this as the fact that there technically is no levels when it comes to our awakening because it is a continuous process. It's something that will continue to be a part of our growth and be a part of who we are and how we learn, how we grow. So I want to talk about this, and I obviously, of course, want to hear your perspective, but I want to get into kind of a shift of how you can view it instead. But that's the first thing that I want to say is I want to dismantle and break down the idea of it there having to be levels, or that after a certain amount of time doing this work, you are at this level, and instead look at it from a different perspective. What do you think, Jackie?
I do. I agree 100%. And I want to, like, my guides were like, tune in here to what you want to say because it's going to work great with where she wants to shift. So much to your levels, right, of like what we think we're supposed to graduate into, we also have been conditioned with this thing called time. And what's really interesting is
Mm,
I've asked them to kind of go into that time. Like, I've been doing this for this many months, this many years, this many hours. And we think that there's supposed to be a time served. Like, I know for me, I feel like
yes.
there's a time served. But when you think about the conditioning aspect of it, we've been conditioned around the timing thing since we were in the womb. Like, you have to be on a 40-week thing, and you have to be 10 centimeters dilated to come, or do you have to, measure at 7 pounds, or you have, like, there's so many things around, like, numbers, measurements, timing, that we really want to be mindful is a physical world experience. And yet what Patricia asked was a spiritually referenced question, and spirit doesn't
Mm,
operate in a physical from a physical perspective. And also to the levels, it's not even like a thing. Like, when you say levels, I see bum, 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 right? And we
yes.
see a greater number expand in like our school years and such. But this is like, 1 minute I've got this, then I feel like I'm going backwards. Then I feel like I got this, and then the
Yeah.
next minute I'm over here and I feel like I'm going backwards. And but it's the path of spirit. Spirit's like, there isn't a linear way of doing this. It does very
Hmm.
much feel like you're hopping all around to get to all of the different spaces and realms that you're meant to be in.
Absolutely. And I love that you spoke to that because I will be the first one to raise my hand and say, I've technically been doing this work for, I don't even know, like 8, 9 years, like in the spiritual world
Mhm.
and that sort of
Mhm.
thing. And yet there's still moments like, a few months ago, last year, where I felt like I didn't know anything at all. And I was like, what, who am I again? What's going on? What is this? Like,
Mhm.
what's my connection? I don't even know.
Yep.
Like, I feel like it's so normal to have moments along this journey where, like you said, you feel like you're back to the beginning, or you have like you just been turned around 180 and you're like, wait a second, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like it's such a normal part of that process.
Mhm.
So yes, like 1,000%, it is not as linear, like 1, 2, 3, like we think. It is
Mhm.
definitely a different experience, which I feel is part of the awakening and kind of the integration process of this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we have to come into a space where our mind, our ego, our human will keep trying to place it into a box, only simply because our mind wants to make logical sense of things, and our mind
Yes.
likes to create meaning out of whatever the situation is, or just for the reason that it wants to be able to understand. Whereas
Yeah.
this kind of conversation is something that is beyond that typical logical understanding, and it's almost in a way training ourselves or deconditioning ourselves from that way of thinking and seeing it from a different perspective.
100%. 100%. And I really feel like part of that different perspective would be the ability, Patricia, to sit with yourself and really tune into considering the version of you that was last year and considering the version of you as you sit right now. Like, can you feel the difference? Like, there are moments when I'm like, wow, the
Mm.
old me would have responded like this, or the old me would have had these feelings about this, or the old me would have shut down and just walked away and threw it all, in the garbage, and just, you know what I mean? Like, maturity isn't something you can necessarily measure in numbers or length or time. Maturity is something that we grow ourselves into. And so, like, your growth can only be measured by what you show up and sit in and really tune into.
Yeah, I love that you spoke to this because one of the things that I was thinking about as I was reflecting on this question is, how do I measure my spiritual development, let's say, or how do
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
measure for myself? Because, there is some sort of reference point that we do connect with. And for me, what came through is asking myself, how much faith and peace am I holding, or am I connected to in my day to day? And that will
Mm.
vary. It's not like I'm always this zened out, like peaceful person, and it's not like I'm
Really?
always, yeah, no, believe it or not, believe it or not.
I'm stunned.
I
I'm
know, right?
stunned.
I know.
Whoa.
I know that I seem like the kind of person
Hmm.
who is just so at peace all the time, but
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
that is not
archangel
the
level,
case.
like,
Yeah.
archangels. That's what
Yes.
how is
Yeah.
that not a thing for you?
I
We'll
know.
talk
I
about
know. I know.
that.
And so it's it's knowing that it's not going to be consistent day after day. So it's
Mhm,
not about measuring like, okay, today I had a bad day. Oh my gosh, I must not be at the level that I thought I was or whatever. It's not
mhm,
about that. It's
mhm.
about the overall consistency. If you look at it from a bigger perspective, overall, over the last month, 2 months, 3 months, the last year, has my level of faith and peace, has it felt like I've been holding it in a greater capacity? Or like you
Yeah,
said, a certain situation shows up and you can reflect on, wow, in the past I would have reacted in this way, but now look at me.
yeah.
I'm responding to it in a different way. That
Mhm,
shows your level of healing, growth, maturity, all of those things, perspective
mhm.
shift. And so that's a way to measure it. I definitely don't think it's the perfect way because like I said, we all go through a cyclical process and there's moments where we feel disconnected from that. There's moments where we come back to it. But I think that overall, even for me, when I'm having a hard day, week, month, year, whatever it
Yeah,
is, I think that for me, even though it can feel like a struggle and it can feel like there's a lot of doubts and questioning that's going on within me, like 2023, for example. And at the same time, I am also very aware of the deeper knowing that, okay, I'm going through this because there's something for me. There's something that I'm meant to
yes,
grow through this. So I feel like that connection right there, when we have that deeper awareness, we can go through the regular, normal human stuff that we go through. And at the same time, and that's the holding the duality, at the same time, be aware that whatever the challenge is that you're going through in that moment, it is leading you into something greater for you. And in that, that's where
yeah,
you're holding the faith, you know? So that's one thing that I feel can be helpful in that perspective is reflecting on how differently you are holding faith, peace,
yeah.
trust, and responding to situations in your life.
Yeah. One of the things that I like to often do is just reflect on the purpose around a lot of the things that people say and the purpose around my actions and like things of that nature. And when I reflect on the question, it does bring in this energy of comparison, which I definitely feel like we should talk about because I know for both of us,
Yeah.
for me especially, there's always been around this spiritual experience, not just with my gifts and my abilities, but also like having stepped into a business and wanting to make a space for myself in the spiritual community, there's been a lot of comparison of where I am versus where someone else might be. And so, if the question that Patricia sent in is like coming from a space of when I see Christina in all of her glory, like, am I comparing where I am to where she is? And is this
Mm.
from like, even like, let's just really simplify it. Are you on social media looking at certain things, thinking you should be farther along than you are? Because that's all comparison. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest things that we both teach on is this knowing that your journey is a unique journey that is never going to be replicated in any way, shape, or form because you were always meant to be a unique expression of the divine.
Yes.
And you are always spirit. You are always spirit. You are egoic, connected just for a temporary span of time. Like, as long as you're in a body, you're connected to a version of you we call the ego, which is just programming. But
Mm-hmm.
you are always spirit. You're always the essence of the divine. And so if somebody were to have, if there are people listening going, I don't even know if I have a spiritual journey to speak on. I don't even know if I'm on a spiritual journey like Patricia is. I would very much say the moment you decided to be human is when your spirit decided to have a journey. like, you know,
Yes.
um, But yeah, no, going back to the comparison thing, I think that that is something to really speak on because it can really, and again, I can speak to it. It really does do a number on you. And sometimes it's very sneaky. You don't even realize that you're making a comparison in
Yes.
some way, shape, or form. And then you get bit right in the butt and you're like, ah, that was my ego.
Yes.
My spirit would
Yes.
never compare me to another spirit being. It sees us all as one. Like, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Right, right. And as you were sharing that, I was thinking about, in those moments of comparison, what truly helps us to bring us back to our center and bring us back
Mm-hmm.
to our true self. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's realizing that we weren't meant to have the exact same experience or the exact same journey or the exact same anything as anyone else. Because it's true, you could look, and I've done this a million times as well, where you look at someone else's journey and you're like, whoa, like, how did they get so far ahead? I should be there. I've been doing this for way longer and yeah, I'm not
Yep.
there yet. And, that whole
Mm-hmm.
narrative that can come in. And if we feed into that narrative, I feel like it can really bring us down that path
Yeah.
of feeling like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not, you know, whatever enough. There's not enoughness. I'm not worthy, whatever, that whole thing. And I
Yeah.
feel like at the end of the day, it brings us back to an opportunity of recognizing that first of all, we are all on our unique path. And it's a deepening of trust that whatever your path has been up until this point, whatever challenges you've been through, whatever your timing is, whatever the thing is that it was exactly what was necessary and what was meant for you in order for you to access your potential, in order for you to
Yeah.
become everything that of who you are here to be. And so you would not be who you are today if it wasn't for your past, and you
Yep.
wouldn't become the person that you're meant to be if it wasn't for who you are today. And so it's
Mm.
recognizing, it's honoring the fact that the divine knows you the best, and the divine has this beautiful vision and plan for you already, and that you are walking this plan, and that as you are in whatever situation, no matter how long it's taken or where you're at or what you see and how you want to, even our human, our ego is the one that says, well, I need to be there in 1 year from now. I need to be in this position
Yeah.
or in this place on my journey or achieve this thing. That's an ego thing. And it's leaning into not letting go of your desires or your vision, but really coming hand in hand with God, with the divine, with the angels, with your spirit guides, to understand that the journey that you are walking is perfect for you, and that everything that
Yeah.
comes up along the way, the people that you meet, the challenges that you go through, the questions that you ask, the desires that come into your heart that you become aware of, all of that is perfectly divinely timed to
Mm-hmm.
support you in the potential that you are here to become and who you're here to be.
Absolutely. And I think too, I think it serves a purpose to speak on this a bit, just a little. There is a difference between a spirit and an ego. The spirit
Mm-hmm.
is that small, soft whisper that continues you. You keep moving forward because you feel like there's something calling you. You feel like there is this purpose or this longing, and that's the spirit that's within you. Versus the ego is again the programming, but the ego only can reference the yesterday and it can't reference the now. The reason why it's so gun ho and so worked up is because it doesn't know the now. It's only trying to prevent the now from looking like something in the past. Its job is to protect you. And one of the greatest things about a spiritual journey is that there, one, is no need for protection. And two, you really truly have to lean into the faith to see the next thing that's unfolding, to see the next happening that spirit's got for you. Like spirit knows your future. And like you were saying, the divine has you held so beautifully. It never once forgot who you were. It never once forgot where you were supposed to be. You are already charted. And someone even say, and I do agree, You already had the experience. Then you decided, okay, now that I've seen it through from the other side, let me go be human and actually do the journey and see what comes through. Because this looks great
Yeah.
up here, but this is going to be like, whoa. And that's what's going to
Right.
expand my soul, right? And so, but the ego, this physical vision or view of you as a human, can only navigate from past tense. And so it's only ever saying, "Oh, Christina, remember when you did that thing and it ended up, physically hurting you, or it ended up really making you feel shame? Like, we don't want to go down that road again, right? We don't want to feel that ever again." And it doesn't recognize the new version of you. It's always
Mhm.
only trying to protect you. And so, like you were saying, you really do have to have that trust in yourself and trust that this version, the spirit version of you, would never leave you down and or lead you down a path or leave you on a path to have to figure something out. It's already been done. It's already been
Yes.
figured out,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yes. And I feel like the biggest proof of that, what you just said, is when we think back to whatever moments in our past, like for everyone listening right now, think back to a moment in your past prior to your spiritual journey, prior to your awakening, and think about a past experience where either something miraculous happened or something happened that now thinking back, you're like, oh my gosh, that was definitely the divine having a hand in
Mm-hmm.
this whatever situation. I can think of
Mm-hmm.
so many different instances for myself where I like looking back now, even though I wasn't consciously on a spiritual journey, looking
Yeah.
back now, I'm like, whoa, like God was
Mm-hmm.
definitely there, or, the divine definitely had a
Mm-hmm.
hand in this. And that to me is just proof right there of how exactly to what you said, the plan is already set in place. The divine is there always guiding us and holding us, even if in the past we weren't consciously aware of it. And the benefit to this now, our spiritual awakening journey, is that now that we are aware of the spiritual connection and the divine and who we are, it's that now this comes together in a way where you utilize your free will
Yeah.
to now choose the path of your highest potential and to
Mm-hmm.
use your free will to choose to become the greatest version of yourself and to become the
Mm-hmm.
greatest expression of the divine energy that desires to flow through you. That
Yeah.
requires our free will. So the divine will
Yeah.
be there and it will save your butt from situations or lead you or nudge you in all these things. And also it requires our free will to say, yes, I choose the path of my potential. Yes, I'm going to do the work, heal, learn, grow, etc., whatever. And
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
why I
Mm-hmm.
think, you guys can tell
Mm-hmm.
me if you agree, Jackie, you can tell me if you agree, but that's why
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe that we continue to pursue the spiritual path, because once you have awakened and once you become aware, I feel like you can't go back. Like there's no way
I
that
was going
I
to
could
say, you can't
ever
unsee that. You cannot unsee what you
exactly.
just saw. You can try, but
Exactly.
you will never be able to unsee what you just saw. But here's the
Yes.
thing. Here's the thing from my whole heart. You'll never want to. You will
Yes.
never want to. So, quick thing, the universe, right? The divine is made up of one frequency, and that frequency is love. And no one that's ever connected to well, first of all, everyone has all connected to the essence of love. That's what you are. So when you consider love, be it in the form of a child, a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, a pet, you consider love in whatever form you can easily grasp it right now. When you consider that love, do you run from it?
Mhm.
You don't run from it. You never run from it. Even when it's misbehaving, right? You don't run from it, because at its essence, you know what it feels like within you to be in the presence of that child or that parent or that sibling or that pet. You love and you long and you want, you desire, right? And so like that's the spirit in a spirit, seeing it, feeling it, sensing it, and it's calling you towards more of it. So when you're on
Yeah.
a spiritual journey, and you don't have that point of reference that we just gave you a bunch of examples around, well, what do? You go inside. That's the greatest reference of love. You find it inside. And the thing that trips people up, like Miss Patricia, who formed the question of how do I know where I am and where should I be if I've been doing this for 60 million years? The thing that trips people up is that they discredit the journey, and they have these inner child wounds that can act as filters, right? Or veils, if you want to look at it that way, that kind of diminish the visibility of your clear sight of your connection to source, or your connection to spirit, or the feeling sense of love. And so that's what makes it feel as if it's not there, but it is. If it wasn't, when you're having this connection with the thing you know you love, you wouldn't be feeling. In that moment, you wouldn't be feeling. Right? Your feeling state is the I'm tuned in, tapped in, turned on, know the essence of love in my being. And that's what the divine says, go there, stay there, make that your greatest devotion every single day. Where is that feeling? Is it in a cup of coffee? I know it is. I mean, like, hello. You know what I mean? Is it driving your beautiful car? Hello. You know what I mean? Is it in your golf cart with your babies strapped in, headed to the beach?
Yep, she's referring to me. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I've been in that golf cart. Trust me, friends, you take your life in your hands when you get in that golf cart. But like, these are the things, the connection that you have with your best friend when you're together, when you're not, but you get together. Like, that's just something that you can't buy in a store. And it's not something that you can, not see as an expression of love. And so when we recognize that, we never run from it. We never run from it. Never. If you think on it, the things you run away from are those moments of shame, or those moments of embarrassment, or those moments when you feel pain physically, emotionally, energetically, whatever the case may be. This is when we run away from stuff. And that's all ego created, not divine creation. And so like, that's the other thing. Like, where am I in my journey where I can feel love and can allow myself? Here's allowing self. Because if you would just surrender and allow, the gravitational pull of that energy would just take you forward. You wouldn't have to worry about it. Because if we think about what flow is a river current just taking you downstream. Mm-hmm. My son, Jake, if I may, I know we've got but if I may, my son, Jake, came home. He's in 9th grade. He came home and talked about the science lesson that they were having. And the science teacher was talking to them about how the reason gravity works. Like, I don't think anybody's ever pondered this before. This cat. Sorry. I don't think anybody's ever pondered this before, but like, how does gravity actually work? Right? And at the core of the earth, there is this magnetic force that takes place that really sucks us to the earth. And like, if you were to dig a hole and you were to jump in, you would be sucked down into the earth. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm doing a very terrible depiction of what he tried to share. But at the core of the earth, there's this magnetic force that pulls everything towards it, which is what keeps everything gravitationally on the ground, right?
Yep.
So my guides are showing me that if we would just surrender, the gravitational pull of the divine would pull us towards it every single time. I just literally, the hair on every ounce of my body just started standing up. Like, I could feel the chills and the shivers on my legs. I got butt chills. But
she's got butt chills.
I got butt chills. That means something, people. But the gravitational force of love, which is the divine, would pull us towards it every single time. Every single time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. That is such a mic drop moment right there. And I
seriously, it's going in my book. I'm writing notes without you seeing me write notes on my pen.
Please.
It's in the book.
Don't worry, this is going to be recorded. Episode 52. You got this.
Yes, I got this. Yes, I'll put the team on it. Go take notes.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. I could feel that as you were explaining that. I could see it as you were explaining it. And I feel like that right there is the core of our journey. It's the dismantling and removing the layers that
Mm-hmm.
hold us back from allowing ourselves to just be pulled into that
Yeah.
magnetic love of the divine. Because the
Yeah.
reason why we don't necessarily always feel it, or we, like you said, feel shame, guilt, fear, all those things, that's all the human conditioning. And so
Yeah.
it is this is the journey. And this is why I said at the beginning that it's a continuous process, always, always,
Mm-hmm.
always, as
Mm-hmm.
long as you are
Mm-hmm.
human, that
Mm-hmm.
you are going to be walking in that duality of seeing and witnessing and acknowledging the parts of you that are the layers of, we'll call them resistance to that love, and
Yeah.
continuously
Breaking
choosing
them down.
to not
Mm-hmm.
fall into that, and continuously
Mm-hmm.
choosing to instead allow the energy of the divine to not only be within you and a part of you, but also to be pulled by it, just like
Mm-hmm.
Jackie just beautifully described to us. So,
It was actually
oh my
Jake,
gosh.
but yeah,
Oh,
I'll
sorry,
make
Jake.
sure we
We'll give
shout. We'll
Jake
make
the
sure
credit.
shout him out. Yeah, thank you for the science lesson. Now I know why I had to listen to it in the car, like because
Yeah.
he was going to make a point on Christina's number 52, like that. But
That's
it's
amazing.
beautiful. It is, and even the comparison, as we go back to it, comparison is a pull of the ego. Here's why you're
Yeah.
not good enough. See. We don't need much to see. We just
Yeah.
don't. But do we, through our free will, as you spoke, do we choose to do it that way? Do you
Yeah.
choose to walk a journey filled with comparison that will then constantly give you another thing to heal and give you another thing to heal, give you another thing to heal? Or do you choose to lean into the small, soft whisper of spirit that just will automatically call you to it as you surrender and as you get
Yes.
quiet and as you reflect on your bigness? See, that's the
Yes.
thing. God is cocky. God loves all of the time. And when you are grateful, it's a magnetic pull. When you are reflective, it's a magnetic pull. When we reflect, what are we reflecting on? Oh, well, what do we want to reflect on? We reflect on our bigness. Like, this
Mm.
is what I did.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm thinking about my little nieces. I'm thinking about your girls. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
makes them so excited than when they do something and you and Jason like show up and really hold that space of celebration that they did this
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
that's so good. And their bigness and their innocence and like their whole being starts to, like, that's what
Yes.
the divine wants from us. God, look what I did
Mm.
today. Look what I did today,
Yes.
God. And God's like, yes, you did. And I'm so, with you, I am pleased. With you, I am deeply pleased. Right? It's
Oh
so
my
good. I
gosh.
want to
You
cry, but I'm
just
not going to
made my
cry.
heart chakra melt and open up to deeper levels that I never knew was even there. Oh my gosh. That was so good. Another mic drop moment. Thank you.
Seriously, chop this
I'm
up. Should be a
always
million
going to
reels.
imagine that in my head now. I'm going to imagine
Yeah.
what my two girls would do. Like the little one who is 10 months old, she just started walking. And so what she'll do is she'll get up and she starts clapping. Like she's standing and
Oh,
she's clapping for herself. And
yeah.
she'll take steps and she stops and she claps. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the cutest thing in the whole wide
Mm-hmm.
world. And I'm just going
Yeah.
to imagine myself standing and looking at the divine, looking at God and clapping and like, look, God, look what I did today. I love that
Yeah,
so much. Thank you
100%.
for
And you
bringing
are
that
so,
to
like,
all of
I
us.
needed that too. You know what I've been working on, and you know what I've been looking
Yeah.
at, and that really helps my heart space do the same thing. Like, yeah, God just wants me to be
Yeah.
pleased with myself because it's pleased all the
Yes.
time,
Yes.
and it's just
Oh
so
my
freaking good.
gosh. It's
Yeah.
so good. And so I feel like this is the perfect place to share a little bit more about what
Mhm.
Jackie and I have been kind of planning and looking at behind the scenes, and
Yes.
something that we are so, so, so excited to bring to all of you. If this is something, because, this is, a short episode, and I feel, Jackie and I, in case you are new to the podcast or to my audience, Jackie and I have been partnering up and collaborating over the years. And I feel like every
Mhm.
time we come together, there is this beautiful, the it's the idea of how when you come together with people who are on a similar path, we multiply, and how we are here
Yes.
to multiply together, and
Mm-hmm,
how
mm-hmm.
God multiplies through us and in ways where our mind could never have even imagined it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this, through the process of awakening, and really what the way that I see the awakening, this awakening of our soul, it's really about us coming into a space of feeling ourselves being called
Yes.
forward into our true selves, being called forward into our potential, being called forward in terms of our spiritual connection, and living in that, embodying that truth, and
Mm-hmm.
living it day after day after day. How do you continuously choose, like we've talked about with the free will, how do you choose day after day to live in that connection to love, to live in honor of your truth, and continue to develop that and continue to grow in that? And so Jackie and I have come together. We're like, this is something that needs to happen beginning of 2024. We all feel it. We're all being called forward into more this year. This year feels so different. And we have come together and we have created a 5-day immersive experience called The Awakened Soul. And
Yes.
in The Awakened Soul, this is where we're going to be diving into what it means and how it looks like to access these soul gifts that you hold, and how to bring them to the forefront where you've been hiding them because of unworthiness or shame or guilt or fear or whatever the situation is, how to
Mm-hmm.
transmute that to actually bring that forward to be expressed in your gifts, how to become empowered and confident in your abilities, in your divine connection, and who you have come here to be, to bring
Mm-hmm.
through clarity in terms of who you are, to bring through clarity in terms of this divine energy and God and the angels and the spirit guides and the divine beings that are here to support us and that are here to be a part of your awakened connection. This is about developing even more into your spirituality, into who you are, into the awakening of your soul, so
Your
that you
soul.
are living fully self-expressed. So that is what
Absolutely.
the 5-day immersive, The Awakened Soul, that's what it's all about. Jackie, is
Yeah.
there anything that you want to add? Did I miss anything? I know that I shared a lot, but
No,
is there anything that I missed around
no.
that?
No, but I do want to say, not speaking to people's pain areas, but for people that are physically, energetically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually feeling a bit of angst, resistance,
Mm-hmm.
depression, anxiety, frustration, confusion, this is for you because you're closer to your breakthrough than you know because of where you are right now.
Yes.
We're going to go into why, we're going to go into how, we're going to go into what the hell do you mean day one, so that we start calling it to the altar so that we can start to dismantle the hold it has on you. And when you sign up for this masterclass, you're also going to be given access to a beautiful, did I say that wrong? When you sign up for this experience, this 5-day experience, you'll also be gifted a replay of the beautiful masterclass that we actually did in anticipation of
Yes.
this. So you'll be able already to gain some insight and awareness of where we're going to go. And then it's just going to be a beautiful, immersive experience where we're going to ask you to surrender for 5 days into us and allow us to take you on, my guides just called it a crash course. I don't know that I want to refer to it like that, but for lack of a better picture, it's a crash course. But we're going to touch on some really big points, pillars
Mm-hmm.
that need to be referenced in order for us to recognize, Patricia, where we are on our journey, how far we've
Mm-hmm.
actually come, so we can hold our own bigness and expand it into more.
My gosh, this is so good. So good. So,
I
if
know.
you're wondering, where do I go? Where do I sign up? The link is in the show notes. So, check out the show notes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, it is in the description below this video. I've also pinned the comment on YouTube. So, go check it out there. The link is there. All the information is there. And we are so, 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 so excited to have you guys be a part of it. It is going to
Mhm.
be absolutely incredible. And I think the timing could not be any better. So with
Exactly.
that said, the very final thing that I want to share, aside from thanking you, Jackie, for being here with us today and for
You're
sharing your
welcome.
incredible mic drop moments and nuggets of wisdom, is I want you to just quickly share where people can find you, to
Mm-hmm.
connect with you, to, hear what you have to say. I know you have a lot of stuff going on the internet. So where is the best place for
Mm-hmm.
people to connect with you?
Instagram is a really good space that can get you into all the other spaces. So if you go to
Cool.
Instagram at Jacqueline Hopper, that's where you're going to be able to pull me up.
Okay, perfect. And
Yeah.
we will have the link for that in the show notes as well. So that is it for our episode today. Thank you again, Jackie, for being here. As
Yeah.
always, I love hearing from you all how this episode resonated with you. So if you're watching me on YouTube, comment below. If you are watching this on a podcast platform, then send me a message, send me a DM on Instagram at Christina Roche. Let me know what stood out to you the most. I cannot wait to hear more from you. And thank you again for tuning in. As always, I and we are sending you so
Yes.
much love and
So much
angel
love.
blessings. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And if you want to learn more about the Divine Connection podcast, you can go to christinaaroche.com/podcast and learn about how you can be featured on the show.